Hello everyone. Welcome to another Anime4ALL podcast. You could probably
Hey!
and my host here is Spirit Magic Helmet. The title of this particular podcast episode is going to be a little off-putting. By off-putting, I mean it's not the title of the episode. We're still reviewing an episode here today, but I wanted to title this one "Thank You, Akira Toriyama." For anybody who does not know, I don't know how you don't know, at least you're living under a rock. A-Rock, not I-Rock. We're not gonna get that mixed up. He passed suddenly. Well, I guess not suddenly. Well, I guess suddenly to some of us, not suddenly to others. He passed on March 1st. Apparently acute subdural hematoma, I think is what it said. I don't know exactly what happened. Somebody at my job told me that apparently he fell at some point earlier, and I guess he just passed from something, I guess for something that happened after he fell. It was really sudden. Apparently the entire, like, they already had their funeral by the time the news got outside the East. So they already had the funeral. And they didn't want to do, like, I guess a public thing, like a public funeral, because of, I guess he was like, I guess not a flashy guy. But yeah, I can confirm I don't live under a rock with Patrick Star.
Patrick Star doesn't live under a rock.
Yes, he does.
He lives in a pineapple under the sea.
No, that is SpongeBob SquarePants. Don't
Patrick
ask me
Star
how I know this.
Honestly lives under a rock?
Patrick Star lives under a rock. His actual house is like under a rock. He doesn't really have much, but there's a rock that sits on top of it. He literally lives under. How have you not seen that? There's been gifs of that everywhere. You don't have to watch the show to see that. Because Patrick Star is literally a starfish.
I mean, really, it's just not a lore that I've been very interested in.
Well, this is not even a lore thing. It's just that there's gifs of it everywhere. I think you type in Patrick Star, you see 1,000 like pictures and gifs of him coming underneath a rock. Well, we're not gonna.
I've never typed in Patrick Star.
Not even glanced at it, apparently. Okay, whatever. Really, Spirit doesn't. No, not to get into that. That's a can of worms I'm gonna keep shut. Yeah.
If I do Google it, I don't see him living under a rock. I see him just, like, all the Google images are of like him like jumping around and looking happy.
He lives under a rock. I know this.
I believe you. I believe you. I think it counts as lore. I don't think it's like household knowledge.
I don't know how that counts as lore. I think it's literally the first thing you see in the first episode. I think he literally comes underneath the rock.
I watched the first episode.
Yeah, you haven't watched any of them apparently because somebody in your household hates SpongeBob SquarePants.
If I type Patrick Star home, I see that he lives under a rock.
This is really what we just bounced from Akira to back to Akira.
You're the one that's talking about Patrick Star.
I wasn't the one who was Red that threw me on this tangent. It was Red Avenger. It's the Red Avenger. The _Red Avenger. Yes, I'm throwing him underneath the bus.
Oh, okay.
It was him.
You're the one that's saying that. You're the one that's saying it's common household knowledge and being disappointed in me for it.
Back to Akira Toriyama. We're gonna.
Do you know that?
We're gonna.
Do you know that? Do you know that they did a test where they showed kids like hours of SpongeBob SquarePants and they showed them hours of other shows to compare it against, and people. It was scientifically proven that people's IQ is lower if they watch SpongeBob SquarePants.
I take offense to that. I watch other things, not just that I watch SpongeBob SquarePants. Actually, in fact, I'm gonna correct something on here. I actually haven't watched it in years. I think the last time I watched anything related to that cartoon was the movie. And that was like.
There was a movie?
There were 3 movies. I've only actually watched 1. I think I watched half of the second. But I haven't watched anything. I have barely watched anything beyond the first movie, so I haven't really been keeping up with the show. I only remember what I remember from childhood when the show first showed up on Nickelodeon. And that was back when I was. I forgot what year that was, but I must have been like maybe 5 or 8 or something like that. I was like really young.
All of my SpongeBob knowledge comes from the fact that I briefly worked in a summer. I got fired from it, but I briefly had a summer job working in a computer place, and
they were fired for watching SpongeBob SquarePants.
No, I didn't get fired for watching it. I got fired because I couldn't keep up with the accounting. I just wasn't good at the job. They wanted me to do a lot of accounting and stuff like that, and I don't know. It's not my thing. But they would play. They had a DVD that had 3 episodes of SpongeBob, and they would play it in loop all day long. The same 3 episodes. And that's pretty much all the SpongeBob I've ever seen. I saw those 3 episodes like 80 times, but I've never seen any others.
As I try to get us back on track, what I will say that the show has a lot of funny episodes. Some people find more episodes funnier than others. I don't think you have I don't think you you need to have a low IQ to appreciate the humor that's inside SpongeBob.
I didn't say you had a low IQ. I said that your IQ lowers from watching it.
I don't believe that.
It's a science. It's science.
I don't believe science then. I don't believe that because it's like the idea that is specifically SpongeBob SquarePants I don't buy, because like there are other cartoons that have the same, almost same, probably maybe worse or better humor than that show. Like why are they singling out people who watch that show? There is some serious hate towards that show that is not deserved. But whatever.
Here's at least one of the tests that they did. I just dropped it in Discord.
I'm trying to get back onto the Akira trilogy tribute here, and
according to research published in the journal Pediatrics, fast-paced shows like SpongeBob hinders children's ability to learn. The study, led by the University of Virginia psychologist Angeline Lillard, found that these fast-paced shows affect children's ability to pay attention, solve problems, and moderate behavior.
It's not that bad. It's like I feel like all this study is trying to do is like not even if it. It's not even just going to be with SpongeBob. It's going to be with cartoons in general. I know there are advocates out there who don't like children watching cartoons.
The children who watched SpongeBob did significantly worse on the tasks than the ones who drew or watched a slower-paced cartoon. So it's not all cartoons.
You can definitely leverage it for other cartoons, though.
You could leverage it for some other cartoons, but slower-paced cartoons instead that are not as fast-paced as SpongeBob, the children did better on tests. SpongeBob making kids stupid study finds. There were more articles too. I mean, if I wanted to show you them, but yeah.
I'm gonna say people can watch what they want regardless. I'm not that whole article. It's just adding on. I think I'm more like I'm more against them because like this isn't the first time I've heard something in the science department saying something negative about something. Not even just about that show, just other things like saying it's doing this such as it lowers your ability to do whatever. It's like why are we doing this? Like why are you putting a negative spin on everything? Why can't we just enjoy what we want to enjoy and like work around, if there is any negative effects, work around those in our own way? It seems a little stupid that they're trying to do a study on a TV show that's been around. I'm surprised that show's still even around, considering that the creator, who has been since long dead, didn't want it to jump the shark. Yeah, I'm surprised that this show is still even around, because I honestly thought it disappeared after the movie. And then like I was actually shocked when seeing that it was still going and still making episodes. I think it's currently still running. Along with something called Camp Coral, which I never watched, and then Patrick got his own TV show that I think actually crashed and burned. I think.
Patrick got his own TV show?
Yeah, he got his own TV show. I literally saw the trailer, not trailer, I literally heard the theme song and literally turned it off. I have the opinion that somebody who's watched the show. Patrick is funny, but he's not funny on his own. Like, and that typically is what that would require for him to be able to run his own show, or whatever. Back onto the track here. Good gracious, how do we run into I Blame Red Adventure?
You and I can talk about something, a topic for a long time.
What?
You and I can talk about a topic for a really long time.
Yeah, that's one of my problems. Moving on. I can talk about nothing for a long while. Speaking of nothing, that's a bad segue. Crap. Everybody forget what I just said first few seconds ago. Back to the topic of Akira Toriyama's passing. I wanted to take the time here at the very beginning of the podcast to just say, like, I'm very saddened by his passing. I was not even aware of this. I actually was made aware of this in a stream of mine earlier when I was playing another game that had nothing to do with Dragon Ball or anime in general. Well, I guess Neo too isn't exactly not anime. I guess it's anime adjacent, but whatever. Somebody posted an article that appeared on Akira died, and actually while I was live, you could probably see it. I ended up googling just to make sure, like, this is fake, right? He passed March 1st, so I don't know how the Japanese kept this so well hidden until like a week out. I'm actually kind of impressed, because when an important celebrity dies, no matter what spectrum, usually the news gets out everywhere. I was actually kind of shocked. I'd never heard that this happened the day it happened. But yeah, I talked to a lot of people, and it's like, it's really, like, I mean, people call him the GOAT. You know, people like Godfather of anime, something like that. This podcast actually probably wouldn't have existed without me watching Dragon Ball Z for the first time as a kid. I don't know about you, Spear, but like, I definitely know my first interaction with Dragon Ball Z as an entire medium was Z as a kid when I was in 2nd grade. And after finishing that run in America, you know, before anime became a bigger thing over here, the shows like Naruto and Bleach and all those others that are still coming out today. Yeah, I can simply say this podcast probably wouldn't existed without Akira's not being exposed to his, you know, his individual property. I actually have an interview, his last interview that he did last year. I'm actually going to read, well, before I get to that. But yeah, it's like, yeah, I think this podcast wouldn't have existed without him. It's just really weird to say, considering that I think only a third of this podcast's content is Dragon Ball Z related, or Dragon Ball in general related. Yeah, it's gonna be, it's already kind of weird about him, but like, I guess like with everybody that passes, you'll eventually move on, and you know, like, this person will pass through your brain every now and then. For anybody jokes at me, I was like, yeah, I know, I never met the guy, probably didn't want to meet him, who knows, I don't really know. It would be nice to get a chance to shake the guy's hand, just tell him how much, you know, his show, you know, I don't want to say changed my life, but, you know, affected me in a profound way.
Impacted. Made an impact.
It made an impact. So, like, I would have loved to be able to tell him that. Based on everything I've been hearing about the guy, even now, it's like, he seems to be the most humble dude. I don't really know how 100% that is true. You don't know how I'm not sure how much of, like, online presence you can really dictate to Toriyama and not. He's had his issues, as we all know, long past Dragon Ball Z. Some of the things that we heard about, how he went through Z and his like, the challenges he had with that show. Going from Frieza to Cell to Boo, that was a dramatic shift. Cell being a horror movie monster, I only just not realizing this year. But looking back on it, it actually was kind of scary when you really think about the entire idea of Cell in the realization that he existed. Yeah, so that much I can say. I mean, yeah, if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't have dived further into the medium that is Japanese animation. And I guess I could say, like, I mean, I guess I can't say that I probably would never, but like, the chances of like any other anime coming over here were probably really slim to none. Because specifically, I mean, regardless of how popular anime as a medium is, it's still niche. It's not like Hollywood. and it'll probably never be to that scale over here. But there is a market for it, for Americans who are interested in watching, Japanese animation. Thanks to him, I think it was like literally the gateway for the West to get involved in, what the Japanese themselves were putting out. I think it even opened up further because I did not know the Chinese made their own animations. I guess it makes sense that they do. Specifically, I think they what's popular over here from there is manhwa, I think, or manhwa. I forgot the actual. I think it's seinen. I think is how we see it. It's like very serious, gritty, hardcore action. I think it's like way more serious than shonen. I think I want to say it's like less. It's like less teen. I think it's like less young teen and more young adult focused. I think it's the best way to put that. But yeah, I think I don't think his impact should be lessened or forgotten. Again, I guess I will, as I go to his like last gotten interview. You will be Mr. Akira. I guess even though you didn't really make this anime, but I'm gonna use this reference regardless. See you later, Space Cowboy. And
it's see you, Space Cowboy.
Well, that's how I'm gonna say it. See you.
I feel like Akira Toriyama made a big impact on me before I had any idea who he was. Because as a kid, I used to really like the Dragon Quest series, and he did the character design for those characters. And before I really knew anything about Akira Toriyama, I started watching Dragon Ball. And Dragon Ball Z, I started in the, as you know, the...
So you actually played Dragon Quest? I never knew this.
Yeah, for Nintendo. I used to love it.
Huh.
I played the crap out of that game. I beat it like 5 times at least.
Jeez.
But but it was really I don't know, it was just really pivotal because that was like one of the first introductions to Toriyama's work I had. And then when I watched Dragon Ball, it was the Garlic Jr. saga that I started in, which everybody hates, but it's got a special place in my heart because it was the first time I watched it. I had TV as an apology for my phone company. They gave me cable for like a month, and so I had cable TV in my apartment for a month, and I never had it otherwise. And I flipped on TV, and it was late at night, and I ended up staying up until like 3 a.m, binge watching the Garlic Jr. saga. And then I wanted to see more of it after I'd seen that. So I was like starting to watch as much as I could after that, and I ended up, buying Dragon Ball Z and like video discs, which is what you had to do back then because
I don't want to. No, don't age me. Don't age me, please.
I bought those on VHSs.
Oh, what the heck? You had to. Don't age me.
I had to. I didn't have any other way of getting them. I bought them on eBay, pirated, and and I would watch those over and over again. I finally threw them away a couple of years ago because you can get access to it a lot better ways now. But yeah, that was it. And I watched it all the way through like several times with several of my friends. And it just got me into it. I still didn't know Akira Toriyama though, because I didn't research the making of it or anything. So I didn't find out about Akira Toriyama until much later when I started watching YouTube videos on Dragon Ball Z trivia. And probably heard it from you at least once. I'm not sure if I heard it from you first, or about Akira Toriyama from you first, or if I first heard about it from like a YouTube video. But his name kept coming up. Probably, his name kept coming up over and over again, and it got me interested in him. So I started like finding out what I could about him, and then I watched a playthrough of Chrono Trigger, which he also designed, and like I thought that was an incredible video game, and I wish I'd known about it when I was a kid. Oh, that's
right, he did work on Chrono Trigger. I guess I have more to say actually, but I'll let you continue.
No, it's just that was a beautiful like series, like really, really high quality especially for Super Nintendo. It's Super Nintendo, right?
Yeah. Super Nintendo and Nintendo DS. It covers a large array of places you can play it.
Apparently, he also did another series called Blue Dragon, but I've never heard of that.
Oh yeah, it's kind of sad with that one. Um, I guess just to give it for people who don't know, after Dragon Ball Z had ended, and I think it might have been like a few years after Dragon Ball Z had ended, because I think he probably had went silent, as people like as manga creators do. They want to spend some time and to really make a new show, a new series. Blue Dragon actually had started showing up over here in America. But it started showing up only here in America at first as a game. And then I think, and I know it had an anime, but I don't know what happened to it over here, because I think it showed up once. And actually, this is kind of where I got introduced to the fact that Akira draws big booed women. I wasn't used to that with his style of art. When I saw one of the characters that he made, I was like, did he really make this? That doesn't seem like something he would do in his show. I mean, the women in his show aren't ugly, but like they're not like exaggerated proportions, in their body. I was like, that was really shocking. That one in particular, from what I remember, is a Blue Dragon. The name. There's these characters in the show that had the ability to summon their shadow, and the main character, as you guessed it, his shadow was a Blue Dragon that apparently he didn't have control over. And I know the video game, had something going on there too, where you fought with characters in a party that each had a shadow to fight with. I guess in a really weird, it was kind of like Persona, which I guess I will say, what I wanted to bring up was you brought up that he did work on Chrono Trigger and Dragon Quest. I think he's also my first introduction to just video games from Japan. Because if I remember correctly, I don't think I had that much exposure other than Nintendo, which at the time as a kid, I didn't know Nintendo was in Japan. I mean, I was a kid. I just know I would have known that. But yeah,
I feel like I might have known that, but I'm not sure. I can't promise you that I'd be known my answer.
I mean, I don't know everything I knew as a kid, but I'm almost certain that I'm pretty sure I did not know that, because I didn't. I know that the fun fact is unknown, and apparently a lot of people had the same exact experience like that guy did. Me and a couple other people apparently, and I see this online everywhere, is that people did not know Dragon Ball was made in Japan, and it was actually that which propelled a lot of people's interest in trying to find more stuff like Dragon Ball. Which is really what ultimately propelled my research into, as I call it, research into finding more shows like it. So like for me, it's like Dragon Ball. People like to always like say Dragon Ball is a gateway anime. Dragon Ball really was my gateway to anime. It literally opened the door. I didn't know this stuff existed until I started diving into it, and because of it, I was able to find more interest through it. Video games I never even knew I ever heard of started showing up. Chrono Trigger also is kind of an interesting thing, and I'm actually kind of glad that, I played it back in 2018, I think. That's when the last episode that I ever, of my playthrough aired. Before then, I always heard that Chrono Trigger was a good game and everything. I kept on hearing from everybody. Somebody I don't associate with anymore. Was also a huge fan of the thing. I was talking about how good it was. I actually played it, and it's actually on my YouTube channel where this podcast shows up. I played Chrono Trigger, the DS version, like the thing that had everything in it apparently. I played that, and I actually thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoyed every bit of it. I love the characters. I love the entire world. I think actually at one point in my playthrough, I make a mention that one of the enemies looks like Namekians to me, and I cannot get that in my mind. Like, you fight things that to me looked exactly like Namekians, but it's probably because Akira's style of art is so recognizable that, like, if you watched one thing of his, you've probably seen his design. But yeah, he had a vast impact on a lot of people. I suspect he'll probably have, an impact on people in years to come, as long as, the medium doesn't get lost.
Yeah.
It's kind of sad that he did pass. I mean, again, it was still shocking to me, but it had already been news. I was shocked because I looked this up and NBC was reporting on it. I think CNN reported on it. I was shocked because I was almost certain that not many people in the world knew who this guy was. But it's like, it's kind of shocking that, you know, his death made airways all the way to the West. I wonder where else in the world his death kind of made a headway into. A lot of people were doing like tributes to that. People talking about how Dragon Ball Z had affected them, or Dragon Ball in general, like we did here. So I wanted to place my thoughts here, you know, in perpetuity for as long as this podcast exists and can still be found in the future. Hello, people, for the year 2030.
Hello, nice man.
Oh dear God. One last thing I wanted to point out is I actually found this article, this interview that he did, his last interview that they ever had before everything, you know, before he passed. I think this was like last year when he gained the when he got a Lifetime award apparently. I think for the last movie he did. Not sure what movie he was talking about in this interview, but he mentions that he was working on an interview. He was working on a movie that got him this award. But here it is. The last interview that he's ever done, and I guess will ever do now because he's gone. To be honest, I never had much interest in anime. Even when my work was made into animated format, I feel embarrassed to admit that I did not watch much of it. Apologies to the staff. I find that kind of funny that his manga was made into an anime, but he never actually watched it or watched a lot of it. See, about 10 years ago, out of the blue, I was asked to revise the script for the Dragon Ball animated film, and I drew some simple designs for the characters and backgrounds. I thought, I can leave the difficult parts for the staff. He laughs. Thus, it's truly embarrassing that I am the recipient of the Tokyo Anime Awards Festival Lifetime Achievement Award. Thank you very much. One of my most unforgettable memories in animation works is when I met the late animator Toya Ashido for an anime project called Kosuki-sama Rikamaru-sama, which was produced for the Shonen Jump original. This project did not have a manga, so a meeting was held. He was an amiable person and we quickly bonded. And every time I saw his drawing style, I was moved by his careful and swift touch. I thought, alright, I guess this is the kind of touch I need to speed up the drawing process and make Dragon Ball look much smoother. The drawing time was reduced to about 2/3 of what it used to be. We influenced each other in many ways, and I think it was truly fulfilling time. I pray for the repose of Ashida-san's soul. Dragon Ball Daima, which will be rolled out in 2024, was originally planned to be an original anime series without me. But as I gave advice here and there, I ended up getting deeply involved with the project without realizing it. I was not only involved with the overall storyline, but also in the worldview, character design, mechas, and other aspects. He dropped there are mechs in this show, which is really weird. That's the one thing he drops, but he got really involved with that. I didn't know he wasn't supposed to be involved with this, which is interesting. I wonder what changed. I hope you will enjoy watching the series, which I believe is not only intense and action-packed, but also full of plenty of substance. Finally, I would like to thank everyone who has supported me so far. I am not sure how much more I can do, as I am not very confident about my health, probably due to my lifestyle when I was younger, but I will try my best to create more interesting pieces of work, so please continue to support me. So he knew that his health was not that great. Makes me wonder about like how much he knew. You know, I mean, no one knows when they're gonna die, but it kind of makes me wonder how much he knew his health was declining. Because I mean, manga creator's health wasn't really that great. I mean, we all learned that from the creator of Death Note. The guy survived on nothing but ramen noodles because of how little he was making. Yeah, that was the last interview that he conducted, you know, while he was still living.
That's sad. And foreboding.
Yeah, when I read that last, I was like, good gracious. But apparently Daima was not involved in it at first, and they started asking for, you know, help from him, and he got really involved. That kind of makes me wonder, is like, I wonder what changed in the beginning process of the show. Like, was Goku supposed to be tiny at first? You know, with everybody else involved too. I think the most interesting thing about Akira is that at some point after Dragon Ball Z, he kind of stopped making manga. He stopped actually being involved in the process of making stuff like that. I think he was mostly involved with the art design of Dragon Quest characters. Actually, now that I say that, I wonder what's going to happen with Dragon Quest games in the future, since he was the one making the art style. You know, doing the art design for that game too. This next game's gonna, we'll see what happens the next game. You know, if they make more of it. I can't say they wouldn't because I think it makes a lot of money. But I said everything sad aside, when I realized he was like, I guess the last thing he had touched on this planet was Daima. I felt like a part of me was like, man, I feel like I kind of owe the show a chance and actually give it an actual watch. And at first I was thinking earlier on, even before all this, I was thinking about it in January. I was like, maybe I will watch it. You know, it can't be that bad or that weird. Now I feel like I kind of like, I mean, not that I met the guy, I kind of feel like I owe him because, like, you know, his Dragon Ball was the first thing I watched. I mean, why not give this new little thing a chance and see what's going to happen in it?
Here's some interesting stuff on Wikipedia about his death. On Twitter, the trending topic of Akira Toriyama and Dragon Ball surpassed United States President Joe Biden's State of the Union address, which was held at the same time of the news that Toriyama's death was announced.
Really?
Yeah. So we outtrended the State of the Union address.
Well, first of all, I'm not that surprised. Two, dang.
And then it says, it talks about all the famous people that recognized his death. Japan's chief cabinet secretary credited Toriyama and his work for playing an extremely important role in demonstrating Japan's soft power around the world. French President Emmanuel Macron shared a photo of an autographed illustration Toriyama gave him as a gift and paid tribute to him and his fans on social media. French Prime Minister Gabriel Attal also paid tribute and stated not even the Dragon Balls and Shenron could revive him. The Foreign Ministry of China and El Salvador issued statements of condolence over Toriyama's death. During the 18th Senyu Awards on March 9th, a moment of silence was held for Toriyama and his voice actress Takaro, who died on March 4th, in recognition of their contributions to the anime industry. On March 10th in Argentina, thousands of fans went to the Obelisco to remember Toriyama.
Wait, March 10th? They did that on Mario Day? Oh my god.
Apparently he's a big deal.
I mean, his influence apparently was a lot bigger and more felt than I thought. I mean, I guess because I only really compare animes in general, you know, influence to like America, because like that's kind of where I live. And it's still very small over here. I mean, it's a lot more felt, and I mean, I think I said this before on this particular cast, that like, from what I could tell, anime is a lot more accepted, especially in schools. Cause like I mentioned like I really wish I was in the school system like as a kid during this time, because like it was a lot more like accepted. You could talk about it with other people, because for a matter, there's a chance that somebody else watched the same thing you watched. The only thing you could talk about when I was going to school was Dragon Ball Z, and that had been long, and this was in high school. It had been long since over by that point. I dated myself there, but whatever. Find out what year I was in high school. You'll never find out. I'm never gonna tell. Yeah, but dang, jeez, I didn't know it went worldwide during his address. But like, that's really weird, because I swear I saw that he died on March 1st. So either they kept that secret for a long time till they announced it. They're still saying he died March 1st.
Yeah, he died March 1st.
Oh, there's something about his health here I'm just not getting. The comedian Tomohide Oikawa shared some details with Toriyama that he learned from their 16-year friendship. Jesus, who the heck is this person? The interview broken down in English by Reddit revealed that Toriyama didn't suffer from any serious health issues until 2022, but was hospitalized during the COVID-19 pandemic. According to Okawa, Toriyama emailed him in April of last year about the possibility of being hospitalized for a brain tumor. In February of this year, Toriyama received brain surgery for the removal of a tumor. Okawa doesn't know this was the event connected to Toriyama's death, which occurred on March 1st. He had brain surgery?
Guess so. What else does it say?
I'm just reading. I mean, this isn't just. It was like another person, Takao Koyama. I'm butchering these names. An anime screenwriter who worked on various Dragon Ball anime TV series shared a similar statement about Toriyama's poor health on social media platform X, formerly Twitter, in which Koyama revealed that Toriyama had been ill since last year, possibly relating to his brain tumor status. So Hematoma. I wonder if you hit your head, Koyama said. It seems you've been suffering from illness since last year. It's unfortunate. It must have been quite difficult for you. I was also hospitalized for 100 days last year, so I can empathize with you. Oh wow, this person had gangrene in last year. And it resulted in an amputation of his toe, well, their toe. I don't know which, I'm not gonna assume gender. Oh, so this person got help from Toriyama to help with their career in writing. There's just a little more of like how they affected them. Oh, I knew the One Piece guy made a tribute to Toriyama. I didn't know the Bleach creator did something too. It's amazing. I guess I'll say this one last thing before you have to move on here. I know One Piece would have definitely made a tribute, and I say this because and not many people know, back when Dragon Ball Z was the hit thing, bigger, like slice of bread and whatnot. There was this thing in the anime community called the Big Three. Dragon Ball Z was one of them. One Piece was the other piece, and then Bleach was the other one. They were called the Big Three because they were the big three manga going at the same time that were competing, and it Shonen Jump, the magazine where they released their chapters on. They were like the most popular, manga out there. So if you wanted to read their latest chapters, legally. Hello, Geeko Dome.
That's my friend Stephanie.
Oh. I'm surprised you found this.
What did you say?
I'm surprised you found this.
Oh, she was asking me what I was doing and I sent her a link.
Oh.
It's really wild, isn't it?
Yeah, it's really wild. I think this is the first time. Wait. I'm sneaky. Oh, that's right, Naruto. Wait, so... But no, Dragon Ball Z was a part of the Big Three, and then when Dragon Ball Z ended, Naruto took its spot. That's what it was.
Naruto creator Masashi Kishimoto also paid tribute to him.
Oh, he did? Oh. I guess it makes sense. I mean, this was something. This isn't news either. But Kishimoto at some point during second half of his manga made it quite evident that he really wanted to make something. He wanted to make his last bit of Naruto as world-endingly epic as he possibly could. From what I remember watching, if reading that, because I read the manga, I didn't watch the anime, but from what I remember. Yeah, it was definitely world-endingly epic. I honestly would probably say it was unnecessarily world-endingly epic. Let's just say that, like, if there was any connection at all between Naruto and the Dragon Ball Z universe, would have been the rabbit on the moon. Anybody who's actually watched both shows knows what I'm talking about.
The one that can turn people into, was it a carrot?
I think that's what it was
Rabbit.
from Dragon Ball. Yeah, there's a rabbit in Naruto, but it's like the end game boss in that show. It's like the mother of all jutsu, and I actually really mean that, the mother of all ninjutsu.
What?
You have to watch it. It's just saying, like, the final, you know, bad guy, I guess, or bad woman in this case, because it was a female villain, kind of came out of nowhere, after being mentioned a couple of chapters beforehand, and she took over one of the characters' bodies, and, you know, essentially tried to end the world.
How'd that work out?
It didn't. It didn't, because the
Ninjutsu doesn't enable you to blow up the world.
huh?
Ninjutsu doesn't allow you to blow up the earth.
Oh, she tried. It just didn't work out. Like, I mean, like, the Naruto, the main character, stopped her, along with 2 other friends of his. You have to watch if you're interested. I mean, it's a very long show. I'm not sure if you're interested.
I watched some of the fight scenes.
Those are really good. I
liked Rocky fighting the sand guy.
Oh yeah, that's one of the fights that people really like. I gotta confess something. When I was first watching Naruto, I really only cared about Naruto and Sasuke. I didn't really care much for Rock Lee. It took actually years later for me to actually appreciate Rock Lee, especially his fight with Gaara. I know what was wrong with me, but it took me a while to appreciate Rock Lee. It's too bad they didn't do anything with them. That's the other problem with that Naruto show, is that there was a huge chunk near the end before the time skip that happens in that particular show. There was a huge chunk of that where it was other characters getting the spotlight versus Naruto, the main character, because that character was gonna go on a time skip training session, get older, get stronger, essentially. So there was a huge chunk where he was involved, but other characters got the spotlight, got to show their skills. Rock Lee was one of them. And until she saw I'm not sure if you saw the fight with Rock Lee versus Kiyomaru, but that's a really good fight if you really like Rock Lee.
What's Kiyomaru's gimmick?
Huh?
What's Kiyomaru's gimmick?
Kiyomaru, if you're aware of Kekkei Genkai, which is the special abilities that apparently certain clans of the show have, he's a part of a clan that doesn't no longer exist. That their ability is to have their bones augment out of their skin. And their bones are really hard. Like I think they're equivalent of steel. So he's able to have these bones come out of his body, and they're really sharp too. I forgot who was fighting him originally. No, Rock Lee was fighting him, and then Rock Lee almost got beat, and then Gar shows up to save him. One of the things is that Kiyomaru is actually dying of bone cancer. So as the fight's going on, he's fighting sick, and he loses essentially. He dies, and Kiyomaru dies in the middle of the fight. He straight up passes away from the cancer. People in the show get sick easily, I noticed. It's really weird. But I think Rock Lee's fight with him is actually really good. I think it's like the only other fight that I would say that even is remotely good with Rock Lee in it, because once Shippuden starts, Rock Lee and a lot of other characters take a back seat. It's like how what happens to Naruto happened in Dragon Ball Z, where, you know, it became the Goku and Vegeta show. It kind of just became the Naruto and Sasuke show. Near the end of it, though, they added Sakura into the mix. So yeah, but yeah, Akira affected him greatly. I mean, I'm not surprised. I guess I'm shocked that Naruto, the creator of Naruto, did something, and then also Bleach. I'm not shocked by Oda, because I know that Dragon Ball Z, it was like something I know the creator of One Piece, was fighting heavily against. One Piece, for people who don't know, is a really long running thing. It's been running for like 10 plus years now. It's longer than Dragon Ball. There's according if I remember correctly, One Piece is in the 1000 chapters. I think there's only one other show that's even in that 1000 plus chapters. I think it's this is a boxing show. I forgot. Is this boxing manga that's going on? It's still going on apparently, I think. And it's like it was in the thousands back when I was in high school, so I suspect it's probably in the 2000s now if it's still going on. I think it's rare for something like that to go on for as long as it's going on. But yeah, Akira affected a lot of people. He'll be sorely missed. I'm not sure what this means for, like, you know, I'm not sure how much he was involved with Dragon Ball Daima. But it's interesting nonetheless to find out he was involved in it. And probably more involved than he anticipated.
Geeko Dome says, I remember when One Piece got popular. Never saw it. I feel like it's too late.
I mean, One Piece was like, I mean, back when it was still competing with like Dragon Ball, I felt like it was too late. Yeah, I mean, One Piece had its own following for a bit, but more people were into Naruto, Bleach, Dragon Ball, like other shows that were, I think, a little bit more like action-packed. Granted, what I will say about One Piece is that I actually got into it like one summer because I had to try it. My story with One Piece is I tried watching it one time before, couldn't get into it. And I also remember at that point I started hating on it because I was like, there's no way this is good. Why are people into One Piece? I really hate it. It wasn't until one summer that I decided to go on a challenge with myself and actually rewatch it and give it a fair shake. It's really good. Unfortunately, One Piece has the issue where there's too many episodes. And it's a really long show. It's a commitment. I actually need to get back because I was watching it and I stopped watching it for a while, watching other things, but I need to get back into watching it. It's a commitment, but I will say after time skip, which One Piece did finally, it had a time skip. There might be a guide for which episodes to skip. So I mean, as someone who's actually went through the episodes, the ones that, you know, every single episode that I've watched up to this point, some of them are really like some of the things that go on in that show, like there's a lot of character arcs that happen. Some characters get development that you probably weren't expecting. Some characters don't. I think one of my bigger issues with the show is that Luffy, the captain, goes and recruits a lot of characters for his crew, but a lot of them don't get development in terms of like story about where they came from or what they're all about. He kind of just recruits them off the cuff and like because he trusts them and whatnot. There's a character called Nico Robin. She actually joins the crew and like one arc later gets this ridiculously deep story that goes with her, and it like I feel like it was supposed to make you sympathetic to her, and I think it did a good job. It did a good job with her because like she shows up. She's a villain, then Luffy recruits her because she says she got nowhere to go. She'll join him and see what happens. And like in the next arc that she's a part of, where she befriends just about everybody, like immediately. Like everybody just suddenly warms up to her, and then the next arc that's dealing with her backstory, which is sad. Like if anything, it's really sad. But is that Oro? Am I reading that right?
Oro?
Is that what she said? Okay then.
Isn't that what Kenshin says?
Yes, that's why I was kind of shocked.
She's probably seen the anime. She's seen a lot of anime.
But
yeah, she's seen the anime.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
We'll get to that in a minute. Actually, that's actually the main topic. But yeah, like the One Piece is a very long show. Like if you want to watch something that's a very long thing, I guess I would recommend it. If I had to say for things that were really long that you probably wouldn't watch, I would actually watch this. But yes, I would skip things that don't matter. Because when the show was running, it had the same issue Dragon Ball Z had, which was like, I think it was the anime was catching up to the manga, so they had to like they had to make things in the middle to, and because One Piece is a pirate show, it actually I would say the filler doesn't really hurt too much. I mean, but if you want the story and to keep going, I would say if you find something that doesn't really interest you, as long as it doesn't have any story context. But I think the show does a good job at showing you what has story context. I would like. I mean, if you want to watch it, that's up to you. I'm gonna continue my run through it. I know the creator said that the show is in fact his story is gonna end and it's ending soon, probably in the next few years. But it's like it's gotten, from what I understand, it's gotten to a point, and I'm pretty sure a lot of people have seen a character jumping around laughing with white hair. That's for One Piece. And that came ahead recently too, which is even more interesting. But yeah, if you want to watch, I feel like it's a worth a watch. I also feel like Dragon Ball Z is also worth a watch. Dragon Ball Z, and I actually can't believe I'm saying this, but I think
Geekodome is the one that introduced me to Dragon Ball Z, and also Kino's Journey, which are the two animes that I started anime with.
Cool on Dragon Ball Z. I'm not gonna go into Kino's Journey because if I do, I'm gonna get heat from Jock over here about something I have an issue with.
So what he's talking about?
No. We don't need to. We don't.
What he's talking about?
We don't need to. Dang it, Jock.
Why? No. He gets mad that the anime doesn't explain why the motorcycle talks. He can accept everything else in the show, all of like the talking dolls and the ground that like reshapes itself without like on its own independently, and every other bizarre thing that happens in the series he can accept, but he can't accept that the motorcycle talks. Even though I told him it was a motorrad, and like the motorrad, they kind of present the motorrad as something that talks anyway.
I don't think they did. I think that's the only bike I've seen in that show that talked.
Well, there was plenty of other talking mechanisms, mechanical things in the series. There was a whole town full of them at one point.
The robots. You know what? No, we're not gonna do this. We're not doing this. Like I've managed to avoid for a year and a half or 2 years at this point. I'm not going into that. I'm closing that door. That door is staying shut. There's a padlock on it and everything. I ain't going in there. I've already said my piece. So what I thought I was, Journey. It's on the internet.
It's just like it makes me wonder if you have OCD or something.
No, I don't. I don't really know. Well, I don't think I do. It was something that I was curious.
Did you watch Moribito?
Yeah, I think I watched it and I talked about it with you.
Yeah, that's right. I was just making sure. That's a good series.
I feel like she's calling you a liar now. She said, I think he's listening to the motorcycle talked.
The motorrad talks. Yeah, it's one of the main characters. It's Hermes.
Okay, that actually went a lot longer than I anticipated, but I mean, it is what it is. As Jock said before, we can go on for hours talking about nothing. Or one topic. I so blocked off that series. Wow.
Stephanie, Geekodome, watch it with me sometime.
But with that, we're gonna talk.
Maybe when I come to stay at your house, we can watch it. Cool.
But with that, gonna move on to the topic at hand, which is Rurouni Kenshin, episode 19? Or is it 18? No, it's 18. Wait. No, 19. I gotta believe. I gotta believe in me. I gotta believe in the me. I was paying attention to the titles. Okay, long story short, with this episode, it's a continuation of what happened last episode with Sanosuke and his friend. The last episode ended with them like at the I guess it's the president, like the quote unquote president, or like the ruler of the I guess the Meiji period Japan. Them on their front lawn about to go and blow things up. As we said last time, it was kind of an interesting sudden change of pace with what was going on with Sanosuke and his friend. They go in there, they start lighting things on fire. Oh, another Sanosuke fan. Nice. But Sanosuke and his friend go in there, you know, bombs blazing. His friend throws in, I forgot his name at this point. Tsukioka goes in there, throws his bombs in there. Apparently, Sanosuke makes a comment that apparently that he allowed there enough time for, I guess, the fuse to burn. When he threw it in there, they blew up, I guess, almost immediately. And it diverted the attention of the cops, which was interesting because like before the cops were talking about, at least one cop was complaining about how cold it was because it was, you know, there was still winter winds coming in through, but like it was spring. It started becoming spring, which is kind of funny. They're reviewing this episode and nearly America's transition to spring. I think it's like, I think we got like maybe a week left before spring is a thing. Yeah, I think it's next week. It's kind of funny that we're coming to the end of our winter cycle and they've started their spring in the anime. I thought that was kind of funny. But they go in there, his friend throws the bombs in, they start running past the police after they went the other direction because they're distracted by the bombs like idiots. They go running for their main target, which is the main house. Like I'm not sure if it was like the main cop or something. I'm not sure who he was trying to attack now I'm actually thinking about it. It was like a, I guess a political figure's house. I guess he was trying to go bomb and blow up and burn to cinders. They go running in there. They go. They jump over the fence, the spiked fence, the iron fence. Which now I'm thinking about. I wonder why they didn't just like throw the bombs past the guards, another direction where they would have heard, because these explosions are loud enough. Try to like break down the front gate. Like they went out of their way to throw the bombs in the direction, and they run the other direction and jump over the fence on the opposite side. I don't know what the purpose of that was. But they jump over the fence, and Tsukioka notices Kenshin is already there waiting for him, and Kenshin has got this serious look in his face, but it's not too serious. Like it's not like meant to scare you. He just knows he means business, and whatever reason, this guy decides to throw his bombs at Kenshin, and Kenshin just keeps like cutting off the fuses, which again isn't that shocking. I thought he was gonna cut the bomb in half, but I guess that would have set it off. But
It's would have been risky, right? It was much easier to cut the fuse.
I don't think anybody but Kenshin could have done that though, if I'm being honest, because I think fuses burn kind of quickly, at least depending on what material you're using for the fuse, but eh. But he keeps throwing his bombs at Kenshin, he keeps defusing them, literally, as he's cutting the fuses off. And he gets frustrated, and Sanosuke does his best to stop his friend, and he has to gut check him. And Kenshin, you know, apparently I guess this is all part of Kenshin's plan. He was never really intending to fight them, because he knows Sanosuke was gonna stop his friend. Sanosuke punches him in the gut, and then Kenshin, you know, like Sanosuke's like, okay, what's the best way to get out of here? Kenshin like literally says, him, and he shows him that he made a hole in the wall, which I was like, geez, that was quick. That was like quick and fast. I'm guessing Kenshin made that hole when he got in there. They ran out that hole. You know, Sanosuke asked Kenshin, were you actually gonna seriously, I guess, end me with your Sakamoto? And he's like, yeah, if I had to. I was like, huh. But he was saying that as he was smiling, so I guess like Kenshin knew he wasn't gonna have to. I don't know what he knew, or I guess how much he trusted him, but I guess another thing backing up, because I was going through that kind of quickly. As they were jumping over the wall, then he noticed him there. You know, he was like wondering what's your friend's deal, and he brings up that he was the imperialist Himura Batusai. And even with that information, he still went after her. Because I guess it shows how much he hates them. You know, but at that point, you know, Sonosuke takes his knocked out friend back home, and he wakes up in his. Do you think
Sonosuke was going to actually go through with the bombings at all?
A part of me wants to think no, but I mean, he's mentioned that, you know, the Sekihara army, you know, meant something to him. You know,
they don't make it clear at all they don't make it clear at all what his ultimate intention was. Like, I watched it, and Kenshin seems to know that he wasn't going to do it all alone. And the other guy feels completely betrayed. And Sanosuke acts like he wasn't going to do it the whole time either. He doesn't actually throw any bombs or anything. He just joins them.
I mean, like I said, I don't know. Like, I mean, it could have gone both ways. I mean, that army was his childhood, along with his friend. You know, they grew up there together. There's only the chance maybe he would have done it, because maybe, I mean, who's to say that Sonosuke doesn't really harbor any really ill will to the government? Because I mean, his leader was killed, his head on a spike, even though he knows his leader wouldn't have wanted, you know, him to blow up the army, but it's possible. I want to say that I think Sonosuke knew, and I think that's another last episode when Sonosuke had walked by Himura after saying that next time you see me, I'm gonna be a felon. I think he knew he was awake. I don't think Sonosuke believed that he was asleep. Because if I think correctly, I'm not sure if Kenshin even drunk any of the sake that was around. Everybody else seems like drunk and out of it, well, except for Yahiko because he's underage. But everybody else that could drink of legal age was like drunk and out of it. Like, all Kenshin was doing was laying down with his eyes closed and with his sword in hand. Like a typical defensive posture for somebody who's, you know, been around swords his entire life. I think it's quite possible that maybe when he said all that to Kenshin, he knew he was awake. I'm gonna go unlimited. Maybe
that's like another unanswered question. It's a big one too. Did Kenshin did he know Kenshin was awake, or did he know that Kenshin would hear him somehow, or something like that? Kenshin is so vigilant that, like, it makes sense if he did.
I mean, I want to believe that he did, if I'm being honest, because Kenshin like woke up immediately as he walked off. It wasn't like one of those like Kenshin walks off and then, I mean, not Kenshin, but Sonosuke walks off with his friend, and then like several hours later after the bombing goes off, Kenshin wakes up. Kenshin immediately woke up and looked in his direction. If he was asleep, I don't know if he was asleep. I think he was like, I think he didn't drink anything, as far as I could tell. I don't think he was, because he didn't appear drunk at all. He was any typical, like I would say, a typical swordsman posture where, you know, his back was to the wall, but his sword was like in front of him. In a situation where I believe that, you know, he just got to pick his sword up and then draw his sword immediately. I mean, Kenshin isn't a slow reactor. We've seen how quickly he can react.
Yeah.
So to me, I want to believe that. I think he knew.
Between the two of them, Sugioka is completely outmatched, and either one of them could have beaten him.
Well, I mean, Sugioka, I mean, he just wanted revenge, and that was all he wanted. I mean, we hear this entire like episode is like Sonosuke and him were like in the same, you know, army together, but they came out of it with different perspectives. Yeah, well, I mean, I would say I guess Sonosuke still had the same perspective. It wasn't until Kenshin put him down, you know, when Sonosuke realized, I guess, like what he wanted to do. Because Sukioka tells, like, you know, you spent 10 years, your 10 years was different than my 10 years, as he was fighting him, you know, after the whole, after he woke up in his bed, and he was about to come, and he was going to tell Sanosuke that he was going to commit seppuku. I kept in my mind replacing that word with Sudoku. I kind of giggled a little bit, or kept doing it, but yeah, he was gonna, you know, he's gonna prostrate himself and kill himself in front of the government. To, like, I guess that was gonna be some show to, like, get people to distrust the government. It's like, in hindsight, I know how I know how he feels about the government, and, you know, sometimes you can't trust, you know, you don't know what's going on in you know, in the minds of the people that you put in charge, and he feels betrayed. He's felt this way for 10 whole years, and somehow, like, his friend, you know, has had the same 10 years and has come out different. I think he sees that Sanosuke doesn't really hold that same hatred that he holds, and he's really frustrated, and you can kind of see it as he's fighting him, you know, kind of poorly, kind of. I want to point out, during that fight with Sanosuke and him, I kept on noticing, was like, what has Sanosuke been doing this entire time? Because I honestly feel like Sanosuke's punches hit harder. I mean, either he's not as strong as he once was, or he's holding back on his friend. I guess I want to say that I want to believe the last bit. Because if I'm being real, I don't think Sukio should have been able to send him backwards. I mean, unless he's stronger than he appears, which, I mean, it's also possible. But I
mean, Sanosuke's been fighting and gaining experience all this time, and the other guy's been making bombs and painting, so he's not. There's no reason to think that he's still stronger than him, even if he was back when they were kids.
It was not that. I mean, it felt like he was kind of pushing Sanosuke back with his punches, and it just kind of felt weird. I mean, it wasn't like he was sending him, like, flying or anything like that, but it was just one of those things that I felt like Sanosuke's punches should have sent him flying a little bit further than they did, in my opinion. Because we've seen him hit, and we've seen him hit hard, but I'm guessing maybe he didn't want to hit his friend too hard. I guess he just wanted to beat some sense into him. I guess he did, kind of. I mean, their entire fight, they go, like, arguing back and forth about, like, you know, he's feeling, Sukioka is feeling betrayed by him, and he feels like the world betrayed him. Feels like his master would have been alive if, you know, his leader would have been alive if the government hadn't betrayed him. You can definitely tell that he was feeling ultimately betrayed by the government. He didn't know what to do. And Sanosuke kind of just yells at him, like, you're like 10 years too late to try that whole blaming thing. And it was like, huh, I wonder where Sanosuke was going with that statement. Used to wonder, like, did Sanosuke do something that he later regretted? I guess, I don't know. After that, you know, after he yells that at him, he's like, what am I doing here then? And then he unclenches his fist and he falls to his knees. It's like, it's an interesting thing, like, this entire fight, you know, because Kenshin left everything to him, because I forgot to mention that, like, after he laid him down in his house, he told Kenshin where the bombs were, and then Kenshin, like, literally wheelbarrowed them off into the woods someplace.
I like it. I like that he just buries them. Like, that's his solution.
I mean, I hope that nobody finds them things. Or somebody, like, doesn't drop a sparkler in an odds position, because, like, I mean, they do.
The lightning hits there.
Oh no, that.
Could you see all those things going off at once from a lightning bolt?
I don't want to imagine that. That seems like a world-ending disaster for the woods over there. This just in, and
like rock thrown like 500 feet, you know.
Like, just in on Meiji Weather News, lightning hit a spot in the woods, and all of a sudden there was a giant explosion.
And
everything's ablaze.
I know this is pushing to the end of the episode a little bit, but when he's done, he throws one up the air and watches it explode. And I'm like, dude, that's a freshly buried, like, dug pit, and you just drew the attention of everybody within like 15 miles of you.
I don't think everybody else would have been paying attention. I think it was mostly just for, as we did see, it was mostly to show Sanosuke that he finished the job.
Yeah, but it's just like, it's flown over his head, so like
it exploded over his head. I mean, I'm not sure the sparks would have, if there was sparks out of that thing. It didn't look like there were. It looked like it could have been, but I don't think there were. But I mean, yeah, I understand you talking about like that. That's dangerous. You probably should have attempted to like do that someplace else versus just doing it like directly over the pit. But I mean, hey, mention a responsible adult with explosives. He knows what he's doing. But I don't know if there's anything else to talk about between like that scene and then, because I mean, you do see that, you know, we see Sanosuke carrying his friend after the fight back, you know, back to the village they were staying at.
What about the continued theme of redemption arc in this whole series? I mean, they kind of talk about it, like Sanosuke talks about it directly to him when he talks about all his friends and everything and how they've been redeemed. You know, and he brings up Megumi and Kenshin and, you know what I mean, and stuff like that, like talking about all these people that have, like, himself, all these people that have kind of come from a rough spot and become like I don't know, like back to something usable. And then Tsukioka is another example of that. Like takes all these dark paths, like I'm gonna firebomb everything, and then he says I'm gonna kill myself in front of it, you know what I mean? And then finally, like after they physically stop him from doing one and talk him out of the other, like by convincing him to do anything, instead of going into a deep depression, he decides to make an illustrated newspaper that exposes the government. And that is something everybody can live with, you know what I mean? Like he's not giving up his core cause, but he's doing it in an appropriate way, you know what I mean, through literature and words and everything else. And he's going to use his artistic style too to illustrate it. I think that's kind of cool that like another person saved. He didn't seem very redeemable. He just seemed like completely mishandled.
Well, I mean, the entire life as a kid was you're evil for wanting to be a part of this fake imperialist regime. Then, I mean, of course, you seem unstable. Speaking of words, there was a loud noise in my ear that I wasn't anticipating, and I looked this up. Thank you for the follow, Geeko Dome. I wanted to say that before I forgot.
She follows us.
But let's see, with that, after you know, after everything, you know, Sanosuke and Kenshin are walking through the market that they were walking in the previous episode, and apparently the Tsukioka came by and gave the merchant like one last drawing of his, saying that's be the last one he's ever going to draw, and let Sanosuke know and told him to let Sanosuke know this is the last one. And as Spear said, I'm gonna go and I'm not gonna draw this anymore. I'm gonna like write a newspaper, which I guess is interesting that he decided to go that way. Even though according to that merchant said that, you know, the government kind of cracks down on that real quickly, so I don't know if Tsukioka's gonna be a free man much longer. At least the way he kind of worded it, it sounded like, you know, you don't want to speak out against the government. But I guess we'll see if he comes. If the character comes back, it seems like it'd be a waste if he didn't. But beyond that, the episode goes into the ending credits. But if you stay around long enough, which I've learned to do now, there's a little bit of an ending to this episode that starts the beginning of, I guess, a new arc, or I think the beginning of the next season is what this is setting up. I'm actually able to talk about this now because I've been wondering how they're going to do this, and I'm very excited. This part of the episode begins with we go back to the building that, you know, Sanosuke and Tsukioka were gonna terrorist attack bomb it, and you see that apparently there are police and I guess, you know, politicians in this building and like at a very long U-shaped table, or a very long L-shaped table, whatever you want to call it. And you know, they're first to talk about that what was going on outside last night. You know, apparently there was some fire and the front lawn was set ablaze, which is interesting. And then they mentioned like, you know, that like we're just gonna chalk it up to, you know, kids being kids. And then somebody brings up what if this is Shishio? And everybody like panics a little bit, and he said that, you know, Shishio isn't like, there isn't any known indication that Shishio was in this direction. And I was getting a little bit excited, but I had to make sure, so I looked up the name just to make sure that it was who I was thinking of. And oh boy, Shishio is actually the character that I've been kind of hyping up, and I probably shouldn't have been, because he's probably gonna let some people down. But this show in general, Shishio is kind of like my highlight from what I remember about, because I've been wondering what they're going to do with him, because he's a very important, you know, character in the grand scheme of this show. And we'll see as it comes around. I like to do Dragon Ball Z comparisons to let you know exactly, at least in my opinion, how important he is. So Spear, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna name this character. You'll probably, I guess, kind of understand where I'm coming from, even though you don't know what he's about. I compare him to Frieza when Frieza first showed up.
Really?
I believe he's that important. Like, he's like the first. You've been wondering. I bet you've been wondering, like, okay, we've seen Kenshin fight some people before, and they haven't really been all that good. You know, they haven't been all that strong. I say, in my opinion, when it comes to encounters that make Kenshin try, if I remember correctly, and maybe Gikodon can, you know, confirm this with me, without saying much of anything, because Spear hasn't seen any of this beyond this point. But I think Shishio as a fighter is probably like Kenshin's most difficult fight up to date. You know, to this point in the show. I think Shishio is like the first really like difficult fight Kenshin will have. Like, if you can confirm that for me a little bit, like without saying too much, but like that's like I think, you know, I think you compare, to me, I think you compare Shishio to like Frieza, maybe a little bit of Cell. So I am correct. Yeah, like Shishio is like Kenshin's most difficult fight. So if you really wanted to see Kenshin struggle, I think you're gonna get it here. I hate to hype him up, but like that, but like I've been trying to not say much about this character because I'm kind of wondering how they're gonna seed him in to the show. But based on the way the character reacted when he said his name, I can already tell you now, like, you know, that doesn't do him justice. I'm just gonna say, I really thoroughly enjoyed this character when I, you know, first saw this show. So I'm actually
is he gonna kill Yahiko and make Kenshin so mad that he becomes a super Kenshin and his hair is blonde instead of red?
No, it's not that much of a Frieza comparison. How dare you? Jeez. No. I can't say for certain if Yahiko doesn't get, like, I don't remember a lot. The thing is about this arc, the Kyoto arc that's next season, all that, the one thing that stuck with me was Kenshin and his fight near the end of it. That was the one thing that stuck with me. To me, it was like a really impactful fight. This show, I think, does a good job with impactful fights that actually affect Kenshin, you know, mentally. I think like, if I want to say, like, I think him, as again, I'm hyping him up too much because I feel like he's gonna probably fall short of your expectations now. That's why I hate doing this. But I've been very excited for this fight. Like, I've been very, very excited for this fight. You don't know how excited I've been to see this fight in the new style. So after seeing how they handle like wind blows and stuff like that, wind strikes, I was like, this is gonna be cool. I can't wait to see what they're gonna do with him here. But yeah, again, I really am probably overhyping him. But it's like, to me, he's like, when it comes to any other show that can make a comparison, I think Frieza is probably a good example of like him and Frieza are similar enough. And like in certain ways, like to me, it's like that. I think he's like the perfect example of like a first actual real fight that Kenshin will have. Like, Kenshin will not be blown through him as easily. How? I can't tell you. But I was like, I know overhyping him and it's gonna probably fall short, but I don't care. He's like the one memorable fight I remember from this show. And it happens really early on too, so hey. I don't know what that does for you or if it does anything for you, but I may have overhyped them and I apologize ahead of time. Like
I'm gonna expect nothing but the best from this then. Because the Frieza fight is one of the two most iconic ones in all of Dragon Ball.
Oh, even Geekdom's showing us memorable enough. So like, yeah, like if anything from the next Kyoto thing, I think at least for me, this show stuck with me. If everything from this show, Shisho stuck with me after all this time. So I was like, I feel like to me it's like that right there. To me, I think it does. If that isn't like the testament of a good character, I don't know what is. As for his motivations and whatnot, I don't really remember that all that much. I kind of want to go in there first to remember like what he was about. But there's one thing I remember that I really enjoyed was his fight with Kenshin. It was like probably when like it was at that point of the show I was watching. I was like, oh, this is good. I can't wait to see what happens next. Like, you know, it was one of those situations. But yeah, I probably overhyped him, and I really am now afraid I did. So Geek Dome is over here. I like kind of corroborating my opinion on this. Was like, yeah, this is the one character that I've been really excited to see. Like, I really could not wait, and I'm even more disappointed, but also kind of happy. I'm more disappointed that they decided to see them here, and we're gonna get it in the next season. So I'm kind of glad they did that because I kind of like them to do that arc good, you know. At least if this show kind of falls off after this, like at least the Kyoto arc was done really well. I hope anyway. But yeah, I really, as you can hear, I'm not trying to say much anymore. If not, I probably said too much. But I really like that character in the fight and everything. So a thumbs up for me. I'm actually kind of shocked they decided to tease him here. But I guess that means, like, because we're getting close to the end of the season, I guess that's why they wanted to. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna get to him. Don't worry. I guess that was their way of doing that because they even use his name, which is also kind of weird too that they decided to use his name here. But people who know what that name means, like, oh my goodness, we're gonna see him. But yeah, I think him and Frieza are kind of hand in hand.
It's interesting because the people in that building are not good guys either, and like they're even sitting on chairs that like there's a very small number of people in that room with a lot of space for more, so they're like the inner circle of whatever goes on there, and their chairs have little like demon or devil horns like on them.
I mean, I saw the aura that they exuded. I mean, but I never even thought about them as a good or bad. They're just shady individuals.
Yeah, they're not a good guy though.
I mean, they could be good guys sitting in shadow. I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you. They're shady. That's basically what I'm gonna say. Extremely shady. Okay. With my fanboying put to a halt. I sure hope he lives up to it, because like I remember really liking the fight and everything around it, but this was like, I think I read this stuff high school, like college. I forgot where I even stumbled upon it, but it was a long time ago at this point. So like, I'm actually even shocked that like. What are you eyeing? I think I missed something. But with that all in
Oh, she was saying that you're stopping.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. We try not to go over 2 hours for a lot of reasons.
She knows that I have a tough time sleeping.
But with that, we can end the podcast here. Next episode, I think we talked about this before. I think the next episode is supposed to be two-parter from the way it's titled. Don't know how they're gonna handle that. I guess we'll see what happens when we watch the next episode. Or I'll leave that to Spirit's discretion. Yeah, this episode was more just a continuation of trying to end what Sonosuke was doing with his friend, and also use this time to appreciate what Akira has done for the anime community and the world at large, because apparently he got more views than Joe Biden's State of the Union address. I just don't know how I feel about that. I think it's kind of funny, but hey, oh, I guess one last thing I forgot to mention too before I forget. Dragon Ball Evolution, the voice, the actor. I saw something that he tweeted about his death. And he first of all he says Dragon Ball was a good medium and everything like that. But he says that after he says all that, he lets people know how he feels about Toriyama. At the end of it, he says, "I apologize." He says it directly to Toriyama. "I apologize for the dumpster fire that was Dragon Ball Evolution. I can't believe he messed it up that bad." I was like, the actor for Goku said that.
That's pretty funny.
I was like, oh wow. When I read that, I was like, okay, we got confirmation that evolution is by far the word.
Speaking of permanently dead, Dragon Ball Evolution.
Jeez. I don't think that ever will age well. But yeah, I just wanted to point that out. That Akira Toriyama, you made an impact on people you never even met. And I'm very sad I'll never get just to meet you, but it is what it is, You got me into a genre of entertainment that I never thought I would honestly I don't even know if I would be, about Dragon Ball being the gateway to a lot of that. So thank you again. And there's another anime that may have influenced, but I can't think of anything, so we're just gonna leave on that note. Thank you guys for watching, and we'll see you guys next week for episode 20, the Meiji Swordsman Romantic Story Act 0. See you guys then. Good night, everybody.
Good night.